I'm Diana Walker and I work for the University of Nevada, Reno Extension Program, specifically with 4-H. And 4-H does youth programming throughout all of Clark County. And today, during this series, I'm going to be teaching my younger sister, Catherine Paul,
Hi,
and my daughter, Dempsey Walker, how to pressure can chicken. So, the first thing about pressure canning chicken is
Make sure to wash your hands.
Make sure to wash your hands. Yes, that's huge. And I know sometimes people get intimidated with pressure canning because they're afraid they're going to blow their faces off. I know like the old school pressure canners were a little bit more intimidating, but I don't know, I think people kind of are more comfortable with it now that they're using Instapots. They kind of understand pressure canning a little bit. And if you follow these steps, then you should be safe. Obviously, we want our procedures to follow the USDA food preservation guidelines. And here I have this USDA guide. This whole thing is actually available free online. So you don't even have to go buy it. You can just go look it up. It has all of the things you need to know, all of the acidity, even the elevations and how long you have to process it. It's got sections on vegetables, fruits, and of course, chicken.
That's so nice.
Yes, it is nice and it's free.
So you can buy this hard copy, or you don't have to buy it.
You don't have to buy it.
It's just a hard copy. You can go on and
yeah,
order it.
you can either buy a
That's
hard copy or you can just go online. And I've often, like before I actually purchased a copy, I went on and just printed off like peach jam, just that section, so that I had it. So you're not ended up, printing a bunch of stuff that you don't use. So we are going to section number 5, which is the chicken or rabbit canning section.
Oh my.
I know, people are canning chicken. So one of the things, let me kind of get into this a little bit. A lot of times when you are doing home canning, like especially with jam, I mean I love canning jam or doing food preservation, but it can be expensive. Like you're not saving money when you make jam. Although I feel like making homemade jam is worth every
much better.
It's worth every dollar. But here's a little secret. When you're canning chicken, it is worth it. And here's why.
You can make dinner.
Depending on how much you get your chicken per pound, so like if you're able to get a case of chicken for like, say $1.20 a pound, 1 whole pint jar of chicken is a pound. And so, I mean, that's way cheaper. I mean, we're doing quarts today, but if you did a pint, it's $1.20 for that entire pint. So compare that to your small cans of chicken that you're getting from the grocery store. It ends up being way cheaper. Not just that, the flavor is just way better.
So, and does it last longer?
Not necessarily longer because everyone will eat it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like once you have home canned chicken, you're going to be like wanting to crack it open. It lasts about the same. I think that when they're canned in actual cans, they are a little more shelf stable than these. But for the most part, I think that you're going to get good shelf life out of these if you take good care of them. So
cool.
Let's kind of go over,
reuse them.
And you can reuse your jars, yes. We're going to go over the 2 different types of pressure canning. There's hot pack and raw pack. And both are safe. Both do a great job. Both have good flavor. And honestly, it's kind of just a preference of texture. When you do a hot pack, you're going to have more cubes. And you'll have like a more cloudy broth. A lot of times with hot pack, people will actually add in like a bouillon flavor, that kind of a thing with a hot pack. With a cold pack, which is what we're doing today, you're just putting the chicken in there and it's going to be chunks. And I actually prefer cold pack because first of all, it's easier. It's one less step that you have to take. And I like how they're chunks. You can kind of shred it.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you've seen. Yes, soups, even like fajitas. I prefer it. So you can look that up, how to do hot if you want to do hot. But today, for our purposes, we're going to be doing cold pack. So we have a few things. We have a pressure canner. So let me show you what we've got. This is a Presto pressure canner. These aren't super expensive, but they're not cheap. And so a recommendation that I have that I did about 10 years ago, is a friend of mine and I just went in and bought one together.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because then it was like you're getting one for half price pretty much, and it's not like you're using it all the time. And you can kind of swap off and, hey, you know, I'm doing chicken this week, can I borrow that? Or I'm doing green beans or whatever, can I get that back? So a few things on these. You do want to be careful if you have a glass top stove. You want to get one that has, you can kind of see there's a lip right here. It's almost like a little shelf. And that is so that it will sit right on that hot element on your glass top stove.
Perfect.
And that's really important. You wouldn't want to use one of these types for like outside on your camp chef. It's just not sturdy enough and it would cause damage and be dangerous. So if you're doing it outside on a camp chef or something, you want something a little bit more sturdy. So there is that. We're going to use these little racks. You always put a rack on the bottom. You'll never want to put jars just down where the heat is because it can crack. And then if you're stacking, then you can stack and do double. We're not able to stack today because, like I said, we are doing quarts instead of pints. If you're doing pints, you could have 2 rows of pints in here. So you could do a lot of chicken quite quickly. So there's an option for you there. You'll notice when you look at this, you pull out your lid. I'm dripping water all over your floor.
That's okay.
You want to check this gasket just to make sure it's still rubbery and flexible. Sometimes if these get old, you'll notice there's cracks, and I always recommend checking your gasket. I also recommend kind of looking through this little hole right here, just holding it up to see if you can see light through it. I mean, you're not going to be able to see a lot, but you'll be able to see light. And that will tell me that it's not plugged. What do you think, Debs?
Because that's important.
Because it's important, right? This is where the steam escapes. And so if that's plugged, that's when you have issues where, you know, you hear of lids being blown off of pressure cookers and people blowing their face off, basically.
Yeah, you don't want to do any of that.
Not safe.
So that's important.
We don't want that, so that is
Be very
important.
careful doing that.
And also you will see that there is a dial here, and this is going to tell us our pounds of pressure, okay? And this is going to depend on the recipe that you're using, what you're canning, and also the elevation where you live. My sister lives in Logan, Utah, and so I looked up her elevation, and it is 4,534 feet. And so we're going to have to get this pot up to 13 pounds of pressure and keep it there for 90 minutes for quarts and 75 minutes for pints. So because we're doing quarts, we're going to do 90 minutes. So
perfect.
yeah, hour and a half.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then if you are in Wappa Valley, like Logandale, we are 1,384 feet.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so we don't need to go quite as high in our pressure. We're only going to go to 11 pounds if you're living there. So always check. If you have questions, feel free to contact us at the extension. We'd love to answer questions for that. All right, really quickly, as far as the things you need, so you got your pressure canner, you're gonna have your jars. These you want to run through the dishwasher so that they're sterilized. If you don't have a dishwasher, wash them really good, and I always like to dip them in some boiling water. Just have a kind of a pan of boiling water, dip those in there, take them out, you know, without touching the inside, let them dry, and those will be sterilized. I also have our lids. Let's see, and I'll show you that. I have our lids in some boiling water.
Really hot water.
Well, it's not boiling actually, it's simmering. The new lids, actually, am I able to set that on there, or will that totally burn?
That's fine.
The new lids, let me kind of show you really quickly. It used to be that you'd have to boil them to soften those rings, but now you just get it up to simmering water, just enough that it'll soften it, and it also sterilizes it, which is kind of cool. And then you're going to put it on and seal it, and process it. So we have that. That's one of the steps that you're going to do beforehand. So, okay, now we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to get some chicken out.
It's happening.
It's happening. And we're going to start processing our chicken. So see you in just a minute.
Yay.
Right, we've got some chicken out. We're ready to start doing some processing. Just a note, you want your chicken, I always kind of wash my chicken just because I never know She's wanting to sneeze. If you sneeze, sneeze that direction and cover your mouth. I always wash it because I just never know. Like, what if at the meat processing plant that they dropped it on the floor, and then we just don't know. So I wash it really good and pat it dry. Let's kind of put this down here. If you, let's see. If you have a problem touching chicken, like if that bothers you, you're more than welcome to either get over it and just dig in, or you can wear gloves, which is totally fine too. Obviously, we have everything clean. You don't want issues with salmonella or any kind of foodborne bacteria or causing foodborne illness. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start processing. So kind of a trick is, let's see. You can see that okay? One of the things you want to do is to go through and kind of cut off or any kind of fat. Now I know that fat gives flavor, but it also will go rancid. And so if you get all of the fat and all of those pieces off, then you're not going to have, you'll have a longer shelf life, okay? We are going to cut these up, put them in jars, put a little bit of salt, wipe the tops of the jars, and that's it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And we just process it. Okay, really quickly is we're just gonna cut them. They don't have to be perfectly cubed. Like I said, you just wanna cut off any kind of fat on here. Here's a nice piece. Funnels are great. We don't have a funnel, so we're not gonna use a funnel. You just put it in the jar. Come on up, Debs. And kind of a pro tip is if this is still a little bit frozen, if it still has a little bit of crystallization, if you buy frozen chicken, it actually cuts a little bit easier. And I love using kitchen shears for this, actually, especially when it's a little bit frozen. I had a master food preserver who taught me to always just use kitchen shears.
I love it.
And you just cut it and drop it in. So we are going to do a time lapse and we'll come back. All right, we've got one of our jars almost full. When you're doing home food preservation, guys, there's something called headspace. There's the space between where the lid goes and the jar. And right here, I'm gonna do a good 1/2 inch of headspace.
Just like jam.
Yeah, just like jam, I guess. And then, I mean, this is pretty smushed in here. You don't wanna like have it super dense, but that's kind of where it is. Do you by chance have like a spatula? Mm-hmm. Okay, a lot of times people will use, oh, there's a name for it. It is a bubble wand. It's like a plastic thing that you can kind of tuck in here. Let's see. Maybe this one. You kind of can tuck it in here, like the end of a spatula. And that's just gonna help kind of compact things down and make sure that there's not bubbles, okay? And that's kind of important. So we've got this. All we're adding to this is a little bit of salt. Do we have
Not
that?
a lot.
Not a lot. I'm just gonna put about a 1/2 teaspoon in. Now, one thing with the salt, this is not for preservation, okay? The salt is just for flavor, and so that's why it's not an exact amount. If you aren't comfortable with putting salt in here, that's totally okay. I'm gonna kind of hold this up and show you. I'm just gonna sprinkle it
Chicken
on
hands.
top. That's all I'm doing.
Ooh, chicken hands.
And I'm gonna do that in each one. If you add salt to it, I like to always write on the top, after it's processed, I write the date, you know, the time of year or whatever, like fall 2020, and then I'll write salt. Okay. Just so I know that it's already been added in. After this, I'm going to take a wet paper towel and a dry paper towel. Wet paper towel, come look, sis, this is important. You're gonna take it and rub it around the top of that lid, okay? And that's just to make sure that you get any like pieces of chicken or anything. It's also a really good chance to check your jars to see if there's any nicks, because sometimes if you buy jars like at a garage sale, which you can get, you know, cheap, or at a thrift store, then you're able to kind of double check that you have good jars. You never want to use a damaged jar. Why do you think?
Because it will leak.
It'll leak?
Yeah, the air might be able to get in there.
Right, and it can even break.
Oh.
I've had damaged jars that I didn't know were damaged even after I checked them. And when you open that up, there's a broken jar in there and chicken floating around.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's actually kind of heartbreaking because it's a big waste. So anyway, it's a good time for you to check your jars. I'm now gonna run over here and get a little lid. You need this guy? Oh yeah, that's good. They have, okay, they have little magnetic lid lifters, but we don't have one of those. So we're gonna use what we have. Yeah, we're making do with what we have. So we're gonna put this on here. Remember, I haven't been boiling it. It's just nice and kind of soft. And then we're going to put the ring on. Now, in the old days, they said to tighten this as tight as you could. But now, with the new lids, you only have to do, it's called finger tight. So just like that.
Oh.
So this.
That was so easy.
No.
That was so much easier than I thought.
I know, compared to doing like peach jam where you have to like get the skins off and cut the pit out and add the sugar, like it's so much easier. And like I said, you're saving a lot of money. This is amazing to do. What can you use this for? Fajitas, chicken noodle soup. Like you have a friend that's sick, you pour this in, broth and everything.
Chicken enchilada.
Chicken enchilada, absolutely. And it's so tender and flavorful. Demps, what do you think? She's eaten this before. Like I said, it doesn't ever last very long because you'll start eating
sandwiches.
Yeah, chicken salad. No, chicken salad sandwiches are amazing. Or chicken salad, quesadillas, anything that has chicken in there. It's just so good. In fact, I made chicken salad sandwiches for your bridal shower.
They were
with canned chicken. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And people kept saying, oh, what do you have in it? And it was the same recipe that everybody always uses, but it was the chicken.
It was this.
Yeah, it was made with a little bit of love, and it was way cheaper.
Wow.
So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so there you go. Yes, okay, so we're going to put it on time lapse, fill all of these, and then we'll process it. All right, see you in a bit.
Hi.
Okay, we've gotten all of our jars filled with chicken. We've salted them. We've put the lid on there. We're ready to process.
So satisfying and so easy.
So easy. It's easier than boiling tomatoes. It's just so much easier. So a couple of things. I have about 2 inches of water in my pot. I have it turned up to high right now. I'm going to put these in even though it's not heated yet. You wouldn't want to put these into boiling water. You can put them into warm water, but not boiling. Like I said, we are going to, because of your elevation, Catherine, we're going to cook these at 13 pounds of pressure. And because we're doing quarts, we're going to do 90 minutes. If we were doing pints, we would only have to do 75 minutes.
Okay.
The thing about this is, Demps, pay particular attention to this. Come on in. Once you have your food in there and you're processing it, you can't leave.
Okay.
Why do you think?
Because it'll burn it.
Well, because it can be unsafe. It can actually explode. If it goes up to like 20 or past 20, that's too much pressure and you can have damage. If it goes below the 13 that we need to keep it at for that 75 minutes, like if it goes down to 10, we actually have to start all over again.
Oh.
Because we don't want botulism. Botulism is what we're trying to kill inside of here. The only time botulism is good is if you're shooting it into your wrinkles in your forehead. And I know a lot of ladies out there are doing that. I don't judge you at all. But anyway, but you don't want it in your chicken. So
you want it in your forehead.
Right, okay, so we are going to take these, very carefully set them in.
Very carefully.
Oh, we want a rack. Sorry, let's make sure we have a rack in here. Where did it go? Okay, so we've got a rack again. Like I said, you never want to set these onto that heating element because you can break your glass. So here we go.
it's just like barely covering the top with water.
So we were able to put 7 quarts in there. Like I said, if you were, 7 quarts. If you were doing pints, you could actually put another rack on top and put another layer of the smaller ones.
Okay.
We don't have a ton of water in here because it's not a water bath. If you're doing tomatoes, or if you're doing peaches or jam or whatever, you would water bath that, you would want it completely covered. This, we're just doing steam, okay? And the rule with this is we are going to put the lid on, lock it. After 5 or 6 minutes, you'll start seeing some steam come out of the top of here. In fact, let's do it. So we're gonna lock it. After 5 or 6 minutes, some steam will start coming out of here. When you see that steam, you let it go for 10 minutes without doing anything, because you want all of that cool air, any cool air that's left in there, to be gone.
Okay.
After that, we're gonna put this on here and watch our gauge until it gets to 13 pounds. So 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we'll turn the heat down, because you don't have to have it on high. In fact, it's really interesting. Once you get it to heat, usually you're on medium-low for the rest of the 75 minutes, or the 90 minutes that we're gonna be doing. So, so that is that.
Okay, so are these that are left out, are they okay, like room temperature for a minute?
I would, if they're still cold, like some of these are kind of frozen, they should be okay for a little while. I sometimes just stick them in the fridge and get ready for the next batch. So what do you do in your kitchen for 75 minutes or 90 minutes? We can do anything.
Anything.
We are under quarantine right now. At the time this video was made, we are quarantining. And so a great, you could read a book or whatever, but
organize your closet,
yes,
your pantry,
your junk drawer.
Your junk drawer.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your kitchen though. You want to be in your kitchen.
That's true.
You don't have to be right there watching it, but you just want to keep an eye on it just to make sure. This is a great time also to clean your fridge. Or to do other projects. This would be a good time for us to make homemade noodles if we wanted to have noodles on hand.
Meal prep for dinner, yeah.
Yep, meal prep for dinner, all that fun stuff.
Yay.
So we are going to start this processing, and we'll see you in a little while. This batch of chicken has finished processing, and I know this because the pressure has gone down, the little thing in the back has dropped, and there's really not very much steam coming out the top. So we're ready to open it up. So Kath, if you want to crack it open, and I'm going to bring this camera over. And that is hot as hot can be, right? You got to be really careful.
It's very hot. It's very careful.
Now you'll notice right here, let's see if you can see it. I have a towel set out on the counter. You never want to take hot jars and stick them on a cold counter, because you can have cracking issues. Also, just to note, they sell amazing jar lifters that are perfect for this, but we don't have one here. So we're gonna use what we have. I actually have a pair of tongs. I'm gonna take the rubber part off because I think that this will work better. And I'm going to go just straight up. And you'll notice, let's see if we can get some footage of this. It's actually boiling inside of that. It looks like a crazy science experiment. And I know it looks kind of gross, but it does taste really good. It has gotten so hot in there. In fact, in order to kill botulism, and the reason that we use a pressure canner is it gets up to 240 degrees inside the jar. So in comparison, a water bath canner, if you're just doing, fruit, you're just bottling fruit and you're using water bath, that only gets to 212 degrees. You could boil and boil and boil it forever and it would never get above 212 degrees. So that's why we use this, because it gets so hot. So I'm gonna lift one more and keep putting these here. You'll notice that there is water on top of the jar. Some people, when they take it out, they'll tip it to tip the water off. You don't want to tip it because that can actually affect how it seals. So you can still see that it's still boiling inside, and look at how much liquid is in there. Remember, I did not add any broth whatsoever. This all just came from the moisture of the chicken. So, and I know it looks kind of yucky, but oh, it tastes so good. So this batch is ready. We have 7 quarts of chicken. You can see it's still bubbling. It's still doing what it needs to do to become shelf stable. We will
Shelf stable.
yeah, shelf stable.
Shelf stable.
When it cools, we will write the date, the year, and then if I put salt in there or not, and then we'll put it on our shelves and eat it. So, thank you for spending some time with us, learning how to pressure cook chicken. What did you think?
Yay! So good. That was such a good experience. A lot easier than I thought.
Yeah.
Not as intimidating as I thought,
Yes.
because I've never canned meat before. But very impressed.
Yeah.
And not scared to do it on my own, I feel like.
And you still have your face. Like,
And I
we
still have my
didn't,
face.
Like, burn your face off or blow your
No
face off.
explosion.
No explosions. Your kitchen is still here. We got this.
Yes.
Okay, so again, thank you for taking the time to come and see what 4-H programming, youth programming is all about. We're throughout Clark County helping kids to make the best better using their head, heart, hands, and health. Until next time.
Bye.